Hello there guys and welcome back. Today I have kind of like a workshop video for you. A little while back I did how to make cheap boots look expensive. Today we're going to talk about how to make your boots look a little bit more badass. Now I like an intimidating boot, right? So kind of like an impressive looking muscle car or a motorcycle. There's something that is just really impressive about an inanimate object that conveys attitude. Now, oftentimes, it's a combination of things, but I found that darker colors and rougher textures are a good start. Like, think of the animal kingdom. There are certain animals which just come across as ominous, like a raven or a panther. There's certain colors and textures which evoke primal responses within us. So how do we apply that to our footwear? I know it seems kind of crazy, but how do you actually apply that same principle to your footwear if you want something that's a little bit more, has a little more attitude to it? Well, let's take the Tailor Stitch Ranch boot in chocolate suede. Now, these are nice looking boots and, they're well built, they're very comfortable, but at the same time, they're not exactly what I would call badass. The natural colored welt, the chocolate suede, it's a very handsome boot, but what if we want to turn up the Black Sabbath just a little bit? Well, let's begin with that welt. Now, I don't want to go boring solid black, so this Phoebing's Chocolate Pro Dye should darken the welt nicely. However, before you begin, make sure that you clean your boots thoroughly because any kind of wax or polish that's left over, it won't let the dye set in, and what we want is a nice even coat. And also, you should really think about getting some rubber gloves and putting down some cardboard or maybe newspaper on the surface that you're doing this on. It can get a little bit messy. So let's begin by taping off anything that you don't want dyed. This means that the upper should be taped off and also the sole if you want to keep it its original color. In this case, I really don't care, but if you want to keep your sole the original way that it came, tape it off as well. After you've taped off the uppers, you can grab something like a sponge or a rag, or even one of those spongy little applicators that you can buy at Home Depot. Basically anything that's disposable that you can throw away after and will allow you to apply a nice even coat. A little of this stuff goes a very long way, so just use it sparingly. Now I found that a couple of coats achieved the darker color that I wanted, but if you want a little bit of a lighter color, just go with one coat. A tricky spot to get the dye into is the top side of the welt where the stitching is. So if this is important to you to get it really even all the way around, you could use an old toothbrush to work the dye into those areas. Now we could stop here. If you like the suede look with a darker welt, then go ahead and let them dry and rock on. But I want to take it a step further. Using otter wax boot wax, we can achieve the awesome texture and look of waxed suede. You'll see this on boots like the Taft Dragon, and I think it's one of the most interesting and just the best patina that you can get very quickly. I love this on a pair of boots. The wax goes on easily with a microfiber cloth, and in some areas it helps to use your fingers. Just a little bit of friction from that cloth helps to melt the wax and really get it under the neck of the suede. Now the wax will wear off over time, and that's kind of the idea here, is that they look really cool when they're roughed up a little bit and they have a little bit of wear on them, because in some areas the neck will lay down where, it rubs against things. Other areas it will lift up, and it just has a really cool, nice, varied look. Now these are a pair of Chelsea boots, and Chelsea boots aren't exactly known to be super badass. As a matter of fact, a lot of people use them as dressed up boots that you can wear with a suit and stuff like that. So the fact that you can still achieve this look with a sleek boot like this really tells you that if you were to apply that to a combat boot or any other kind of suede boot like this, it's gonna go even further. And if you're doing this technique on a pair of boots with laces, swap out your normal wax laces for a pair of leather laces. These, I think, offer a nice high-end look, and once you start to use leather laces, it's hard to go back to anything else. They have a great durable feel. Again, they break in very nicely, and I just think they add to that overall robust, intimidating, badass look. Now, there are other ways to achieve this same kind of look, especially if you have smooth leather. You can use leather dye to sort of marble it or just give it some variation or darken it entirely. I haven't done that yet. If this video does well enough, then maybe I'll do it in a future video. But there's other ways to achieve this same look. A lot of times it just means bringing down the color and bringing up the texture. But of course, I want to know what you think. Did I completely ruin a pair of boots here? Or is this something that you want to try yourself? If you do, please let me know and shoot me a picture of it. I'd love to see the results. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.